We start in Nigeria, where a harassment case involving one of the country's most influential men has sparked a growing row over sexism and women's rights. At the heart of the debate is Natasha Akpoti, a Nigerian senator who, in a TV interview in late February, accused the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, of making repeated sexual advances towards her, claims that he has consistently denied. Then Akpoti was suspended following this moment that erupted in the Senate about a change in her seating arrangement. Senator Akpoti, one of only 4 women in the 109-seat chamber, was barred for 6 months, just days after making her complaint on TV. The Ethics Committee said she had violated procedural rules. Separately, her sexual harassment petition was rejected on procedural grounds. Protests have taken place in support of Akpoti and her treatment, with some women's rights groups organizing rallies under the banner "We Stand with Senator Natasha," as seen here in the Nigerian capital, Abuja. Akpoti recently spoke to DW and provided some context to her allegations.
It all started about a year ago, where the Senate President made sexual advances at me. He also has publicly made sexual remarks, whereby last year on the floor of the Senate, he shut me down during a debate saying that I am not in a nightclub. And then because I refused to yield into his demands, malice developed. And from that malice, he denied me several rights. I was denied speaking on the floor. I could not raise my motions. I couldn't participate in debates. And I was removed for a number of international activities. So all of that went on, and I was still silent, thinking that in the process of holding everything up, he would discover his wrong, recognize me as his colleague, and let me work. But no, it got worse. On the 4th of February this year, he removed me as chairperson of the Committee on Local Content. And 2 weeks after, he, in a bid to take away my visual presence in the Senate, he moved my seat to a far corner. And that was where all broke loose. I lost it. I couldn't take any more of his attacks on me. And I spoke out on the floor. I refused to take to the seats that he had moved me to.
In response to those comments, the Senate President's office has told DW that Senator Akpoti disrupted Senate proceedings by refusing to take her reassigned seat, saying 10 others were similarly reassigned and complied. We asked the Senate President for an interview, but instead received a written statement. Here's part of it. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's narrative is a strategic deflection aimed at evading responsibility for her disorderly conduct, breach of legislative protocol, and contempt for Senate authority. It goes on to say sexual harassment is a serious issue that deserves due process and fair hearing. However, false or politically motivated allegations weaponized for personal gain are equally damaging. So, what are Nigerians making of this debate? Here are a few perspectives.
I feel like no is no. When a woman says no verbatim, like she says it straight, no is no. And use of power. You're in an office, you are the boss, you want to, because you have that power, it is alarming. It's actually happening, but we can't speak up because it's actually you know how job is in Nigeria now. Your job is actually on the line because when you speak up, you might lose your job.
I think our society needs to stop this stigmatization of when they say someone is being harassed, you will now be, look at her, that's the person. It should stop. When we stop that, we encourage people to speak up because even a lot of people are dying in silence. A lot of women are depressed.
I'm now joined by Ireti Bakare-Yusuf, broadcaster, women's rights activist, and founder of Purple Women Foundation, as well as WAAN. Ireti, I want to start by asking you what WAAN is.
WAAN, thank you very much for having me, by the way. WAAN stands for, it's actually WAAN, which stands for We Are All Natasha.
So you felt compelled to actually start this foundation as a result of this particular case?
Well, it's actually a movement, yes. It was triggered off literally. For me, the first day the issue began, which was at the Senate, when we saw the exchange live. Immediately after that, I was on another station. I was being interviewed. And once I came off that, I knew that. And at that time, there hadn't been any issue of sexual harassment because there was like 2 or 3 days before she came on TV to talk about the sexual harassment issue. But yes, one, and it's perfect. It sums up what's happening in Nigeria. It's not just about the women, it's also about men, young boys, young girls. It's about patriarchy. That's really what one covers.
Well,
the patriarchal structure.
Talk to us a little bit more about this. Why has this case ignited so much discussion?
Excellent question. Because for a long time, decades, not even a long time, decades and decades and decades, you've had advocates like myself who have been encouraging women to come out and speak their truth with regards to sexual and gender-based violence. So the campaign has been going on for a long time. But in the case of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, she is the most senior female in government and in society, let's be honest, and I'm talking about in the professional space now, that has come out to literally speak her truth, but not only speak her truth, but to point to the third citizen. The Senate president is the third citizen of Nigeria. So by her doing that, not only would it encourage and inspire other survivors to come through, but it also pivoted the conversation in a way that had never happened before. Gender-based violence doesn't just affect women, it also affects men in Nigeria. It's the patriarchal structure that stops a man who is qualified, and therefore not able to get the job because they're not part of the minority who hold this structure so tightly, okay? It's the same one that will stop a boy who is perfectly qualified from getting the job that they have the skills for, because their father is not part of, the old boys group of patriarchy. It is now even more so the big wall and boundaries that is built to prevent women from actually coming into politics.
Can you give us an example or examples of the kinds of things women have to endure while simply conducting their lives on a daily basis?
Wow, when we talk about sexual harassment, I can just off my head at least 5, 6, 7 women who are personal friends of mine, who have gone, when I will tell you, and it will shock your viewers, a friend of mine goes into an office to do a presentation to an MD. She gets there, he turns around from his table, and his trousers are down, and is showing his family jewels.
My goodness.
Yeah, that's not unique to her at all.
That's not unique to her.
A woman works with a man, or she's working with a client or whatever, and she's told to come and meet him at a hotel. She gets to the hotel only to be told she has to go to his room.
Okay, enough said. As I've listened to what people say about these issues, women in particular, one thing stands out. All the voices saying it's taboo to complain about sexual harassment, even when you're the alleged victim. Can you point to any reasons for that?
It's societal. So when a woman speaks out, she's automatically slut-shamed, number one. Number two, she's often ostracized from her community. And this is what happens. It's always designed to silence the survivors. It's designed to weaken your resolve. It's designed to break and shatter your strength. it's also then, by extension, a message to other women that don't you dare speak up. Because if we can do this to Natasha Akpoti, look at what we can do to you.
Let's go back to Senator Akpoti for a moment. As you know, there are a lot of people praising her bravery, but very few saying this is Nigeria's Me Too moment. Why?
Let me address why I call it our Me Too moment. Because Senator Natasha is not the first woman to come out and point to the same person or allege that the same person, the same Senate president, actually sexually harassed them. It is also widely believed that all the other, if there are any other woman out there, be of whatever age, who can point to the same perpetrator, they won't. They will be too afraid. They will be too scared. Because, and that's why I keep going back to, yes, it is an alleged, it's alleged, because it hasn't gotten to court. It hasn't been, the Senate have refused to investigate it. But also, all the accusations and harassments and the weaponization of state instruments that is fashioned against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is by extension a way of silencing other women from coming out.
We will have to end it there. Our deep, deep thanks to Ireti Bakare-Yusuf. Many, many thanks.